Greetings and salutations, Internet! I still have a lump on my forehead from your elbow, Kevin. What I wanted to talk about today sort of carries on from last fortnight's vlog, and the question I wanted to address was, where do writers come from? What makes a writer? And when I say a writer, I don't mean people who haven't done their research and think that writing is somehow a get-rich-quick scheme. I'm actually talking about people who can't not write, who feel down in their very bones it is their life's purpose to tell stories. What makes those people? And the short answer is, I don't know. I can tell you what made this writer, and without being facetious, I can do it in a single word. Bullies! I know it must be ridiculously hard to believe, but I was bullied very fiercely when I was younger. We moved to a small town in Australia where my mum grew up. And small towns in Australia are exactly like small towns everywhere else. If you're not from there, they'll let you know you're not from there. And in my case, the kids, my peers, also let me know that I wasn't welcome. And from grades 2 to the end of grade 5, I was enrolled in the public school there and had such a terrible time with bullies that I distinctly remember coming home most days in tears. I begged my parents to let me go to the same school that both my older sisters attended, which was a private college, and eventually they agreed. And from grades 6 until graduation, I attended this college and was bullied. Surprise. All the way through. And I distinctly remember 2 boys when I was in grade 6 who decided that not only did they know that words can in fact hurt, that they would add sticks and stones for good measure. And here's the worst thing. That school was such an improvement over the situation that I had experienced in the years prior. To be fair though, I was kind of a little shit when I was in school. And I'll explain. I was very academically minded, which means basically I didn't have much difficulty recalling facts when asked. And so I did very well academically. But in my head, because everything else about me had been so devalued, I sort of figured that my academicness was the only thing of value that I possessed, so I clung to it. Imagine Hermione Granger from, like, the Philosopher's Stone, but, you know, 1,000 times worse. Anyway, unlike Hermione, there was no Ron and no Harry for me. So my only defense against being publicly stoned and ridiculed was to hide in the library. And I discovered fiction. I devoured it. I loved it, because these books, most of the characters in these books were exactly the opposite of the kind of people I knew. They were kind, and they were generous, and they were courageous, and they were valiant, and it just, for a while there, reading about the struggles of people who were trying to save the world made what I was doing, or what I was trying to survive against, I guess, all the easier to bear. Because, you know, I wasn't marching halfway across the continent to throw a magical ring into a giant volcano. And frankly, if Frodo could do something like that, I could handle a couple of bullies. It's actually quite ironic. Those values that I love the most about humanity, courage and compassion and that kind of thing, I didn't learn those values from my peers. I learnt them from books. My imagination went wild, so it became reflexive for me. Whenever I was in a situation I didn't like, I would remove myself from the situation and imagine a better one. I would go find a quiet place at the school to hide, and I would imagine that there was such a thing as heroes. Because let's face it, in real life, Sparhawk was not going to walk around the corner and lop the heads off these two idiot boys with his bastard sword. Soon, I guess, morphed into creating heroes for myself. And I wrote about them, and writing helped me through it. Imagining a better world helped me through it. Writing that better world with better people, facing bigger things than I could ever hope to overcome, became fundamental to my survival. So, that's what made this writer. What made you a writer?